Hey, it's Kaufman is Alive. I look at comic books new and old. Today I'm looking at a new comic book, X-Men of Apocalypse Alpha #1. This was a $5.99 book by Marvel Comics. Perfect timing for me because if you've been following my channel, you know I've been doing the Review the Age of Apocalypse series where I'm covering all the single issues of the original Age of Apocalypse. I've got a couple of them here. And I picked up a variant cover for this issue by the artist Joe Madureira, who was the original artist on Astonishing X-Men for Age of Apocalypse. He really made a name for himself doing X-Men during that time period, so it was cool to see him come back to do this cover. He does not do a lot of comic book work these days, so a rarity. And we've got Wolverine here on the cover, or Weapon X as he's called in the Age of Apocalypse. He's got the missing hand, as you'll notice, which got blown off by Cyclops, and Weapon X took Cyclops' eye, so a little bit of history trivia of the Age of Apocalypse for you there. I did notice there's this whole like kind of blank space at the top where his claws are, and I kind of wonder if the artist was expecting the logo to be up here, but they just put it down here. It's all kind of scrunched into Logan's body there. I kind of wish it was up here. It's kind of covering up a little bit of the drawing there, but a cool piece there by Joe Madureira. But he's not doing the interiors. We've got Simone Di Maio doing the interior artwork here. I like how a lot of the pages and panels just go right off the page into the ether here. And the panels don't have any like black borders around them either, which gives the comic kind of a different look to it. I don't really like the colors too much though. I feel like they're kind of too faded. There's too many pinks as we go through here as well. I would prefer some more like saturated flat colors. But and there's some weird blurry effects throughout here as well, which I don't really like too much, and I think it's kind of overused a bit in this issue as well. You see some of the blurry effects whenever they're like using their powers. That was something that they did back in the original Age of Apocalypse though. So I don't know if that's maybe just the artist's style or if it's an actual kind of callback to some of the stuff they were doing back in that Age of Apocalypse, where they were just kind of getting into adding computer like layovers to the artwork. But that's what some of this stuff kind of reminds me of. The writer on this is Jeff Loeb, who was one of the original Age of Apocalypse creators and conceivers. And I do like the writing in this book for the most part. I like the plot. And I like the characters that they're using in here. We've got Sabretooth, although he doesn't go by that name anymore, as he mentions in here. He just goes by Creed, along with his sidekick Wildchild. Blink is back as well. Now we've got Havoc here. I don't really like the choice on his costume style. First of all, obviously, he looks a little bit too much like Gambit. And second, in the original Age of Apocalypse, he had like an eye tattoo, and that seems to be gone here. And it just seems kind of a lazy costume. It's just all black. But they actually kill him off right away. Gambit throws a full house at Havoc here and kills him, and Rogue's not too happy about it, but we do get kind of the rekindling of feelings between Gambit and Rogue here, and I do like that as well. We've got Morph showing up in this issue here, and there's some weird fourth wall breaking that goes on with Morph. I think Jeff Loeb is confusing him with Deadpool here. He's writing him a lot like Deadpool, and Jeff Loeb's done a lot of writing on Deadpool, but he breaks the fourth wall a lot, and there's some weird pop culture references that don't really make sense in the context of Age of Apocalypse. He's referencing Disney and The Greatest Showman. He says, don't say that around Logan. For some reason, it really hackles him. But it's kind of some clever stuff, though, anyway, even if it doesn't really make sense. And there's even a reference here on this next page too, where Morph turns into a wrecking ball and he starts singing, "I came in like a wrecking ball." So who's that? Miley Cyrus, I think. Does she exist in the Age of Apocalypse? Is she one of the fittest that survived? But as far as the plot goes here, I do like the fact that they start referencing that they don't know why that they're all still here when the Age of Apocalypse should have ended. Why didn't it? It says. And they've captured Forge, and Morph knows where Forge is. And unfortunately, it's, of course, at Apocalypse's former citadel. But Apocalypse has been defeated, so he's not here. But all the other characters who survived the nuclear blast and the crystallization of the entire universe by the M-Cron crystal, they're all still here. And again, we don't know why. It does seem like they are going to be exploring the reasons why, though, throughout this mini-series. So that's good to see. It doesn't seem like they're just moving past it, like the Spider-Man 94 comic books seem to just completely move past the cliffhanger ending of the original cartoon, and they're not even going to reference what happened. This book seems like it's going to be referencing the end of the Age of Apocalypse and why all these characters still exist. And Sinister says that he's actually discovered that their timeline is the correct timeline, and they need to put it all back in place. And he's taken Forge and turned him into this mostly like 95% robot here. They call him a butcher, but then after they get Forge out, Forge explains that what Sinister said is the truth. He says Xavier's timeline should not exist. Ours is the correct timeline. Rogue punches Sinister, and he's just saying that he doesn't know what he's saying because he's just coming out of this procedure here. But Sinister's saying, if anything, he gave me a sense of clarity. This is a chance to right a wrong. And Forge has created a device that he can use along with Blink's teleportation abilities to take them to Xavier's timeline and right the wrongs. But Blink's kind of having second thoughts about this, so she's confiding in Creed, and I like their relationship in here, very similar to the Logan and Jubilee relationship in the other timeline. And I like the artwork in here by Simone Di Maio. You can see like some of the faces have a real anime influence to them. All the work in here really does, and that really fits in with the original style of like Joe Madureia's Astonishing X-Men in the Age of Apocalypse. So I really like how the artwork just fits in perfectly with the Age of Apocalypse. Feels like you're reading a story directly spinning out of that series. We get a page between Morph and Magneto, and Morph tears up saying he feels like he's actually one of the X-Men now, and he promises no more jokes. And we see Gambit's got a new coat here, and him and Rogue have a pretty heartbreaking heart-to-heart here. And Gambit's hoping that when they bring the original, their reality to fruition, he says things will be a dream come true. And you see Rogue looking sad as Gambit walks away, but Gambit with a new look here and a new coat. I like that style, looks good. They do the X-Men fist pose, like the Shield, and they all walk through the portal and head into Xavier's timeline. We just get a brief epilogue here as we see Holocaust, the son of Apocalypse here, and we find out him and Sinister are actually working together, trying to bring about their own survival of the fittest, their own, as you know, in the original Age of Apocalypse, Holocaust and Sinister both had their own plans trying to overthrow Apocalypse, so they're still at it here. And Holocaust says time is running out, and I do like that they're calling him Holocaust here, as that was his original name, even though eventually the writers changed his name to Genocide. It wouldn't make sense for him to be called genocide here, so they're actually calling him Holocaust despite the negative connotations that might have. I don't think genocide's any less of an offensive name. So we've made it. It says they enter the timeline. Morph wants to know what that wonderful smell is, and Creed explains it's the clean air, Morph. And then on the final page, we see the reveal of X-Man saying you shouldn't be here. We get the weird faded blurry effect, which I don't really like. But I do like that we've got X-Man showing up. That makes a lot of sense because he was one of the few Age of Apocalypse characters, along with Sugar Man and Dark Beast, that actually transported into Xavier's timeline after the Age of Apocalypse. And he has lots of history with Forge, who was his mentor, as I covered when I did reviews of issues 1 and 2 of X-Man. So I'm about halfway through my review, the Age of Apocalypse series. This is kind of perfect timing for this, as this is connecting the Age of Apocalypse with the current X-Men. And this is the alpha issue leading into a mini-series. So I definitely recommend picking this up. I really like this issue. Thanks again for watching, and go read comics.